Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. Hi, Tim. Hi, Philip. Hi, Catherine, Lawrence, F. Smitic. It's good to see you. Sarah, Angelique, Arian. Hello, everybody. Camilo! It's good to see all of you guys. I'm super excited to be here again for the fourth day, third challenge of the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. Arian, Jordan Crawford, it's good to see you. Sarah, oh yes, I have my Professor Val glasses on this morning. But yeah, so super pumped to be here. Real quick, I'm going to give you guys like a brief intro of sort of what we are doing this morning if you guys are new and have never done this before. For those of you who kind of know the drill, you guys can just sit tight and we'll get into our challenge pretty soon. But this morning we are doing the Daily Creative Challenge for Photoshop. I'm going to be your host, Voodoo Val. I'm a digital painter and sometimes host here on Adobe Live. And if you would like to participate in the challenge with me this morning, all you have to do is go to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, which is this nifty little page right here. Here you will be able to find information about how to get started, registered for the challenge. It'll give you a little bit of information like this little section here, the how does it work steps. Basically each day for the next couple weeks actually, a challenge is going to be revealed to you in the morning. Under here you'll see all of these challenges here. This morning the text effect challenge was unlocked, and all of these other ones, the next 6 challenges are grayed out and will be revealed to you as we go forward. But yeah, just show up here, check out the challenges that are unlocked. You'll get a brief little introduction about what we're going to be doing for the day, and then you'll get a little link to the stream or to the replay, depending on what time you check this out, and it'll bring you over to me where I will show you how to do the challenge for the day. And you can also join the community by pressing the Join Community Chat button here, or scrolling down and hitting the Chat with the Community Join Us button at the bottom of the page, and it'll take you to our Discord where you can share your entry for the challenge with me. I can share my entry with you, and we can all kind of give each other feedback, and you can also connect with awesome mentors in the community to get any help if you get a little bit stumped. So yeah, that is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna pull up the Discord real quick so you folks can see. This is amazing. I did not see this until just now. Rom the Flash, this is super awesome. I wonder if you are a Naruto fan. This is great. Everyone's been posting their super awesome illustrations and photo manipulations and things that we have been working on for the past couple days in here, and they are looking awesome. Super excited. As you guys remember, previously, I did say that the last 2 days we've actually been preparing for this exact moment. We're going to take our assets that we created yesterday or the assets that we created on the first day, and we're going to use them to do our project today, which is creating classic sci-fi posters. I'm super pumped about it. So I'm going to head over to my Photoshop and I'm going to get started and show you guys how we are going to do this. I'm going to hit Photoshop here. Boom. Also, as you can see, we've got a little thing in the top right-hand corner today where it'll let you know the keys that I'm pressing. It's not as fancy as Keycaster, but it still gets the job done. So for those of you guys who had questions about the hotkeys I was using yesterday, now you can watch it real time. So, to get started here, I think I'm going to choose to use my robot from the first day in order to make this poster. You guys don't have to use what you used the first day. You guys can use the illustration from yesterday, or you can choose something totally, completely new. It's up to you guys. This is your project. I'm just giving you the guidelines. So I'm going to create kind of a scene to put our robot in, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab a noise texture here. I'm using a noise texture because I really like noise textures. I'm kind of addicted to them. You don't have to use a noise texture if you don't want to. You can paint bucket in a color for the background of your piece here, or you can use a pattern, whichever you prefer. I'm going to hit enter here, and I'm going to actually make this red. I know that's surprising that I'm not going to leave something purple, but I am going to change this to red right quick. And I'm going to do that by hitting Control U, which opens up my hue and saturation. And I'm going to bump up the saturation. I'm going to bump the hue over to a red color and I'm going to brighten it just a little bit so that it's quite red. But I really like this for the project that we're going to be working on today, so I'm going to leave it like that. Boom. All right. So now that we've done that, I am going to pull in, let me bump up my little libraries panel here. Boom. So I have all my assets. I'm going to not drag in our robot just yet. I'm going to drag in this super cool image of a city because for my project, I would like my robot to be walking through a city for this poster. And I'm going to transform, it's already in transform because I've dragged it into the scene here, but I'm actually going to hold Alt while I drag this out so that instead of not holding Alt and only resizing from one angle, if I hold it, it resizes from the center, which gives me what I want a lot quicker. So I am going to kind of position this in here like so. I like that pretty well, so we're gonna do that. And I am going to grab my my marquee tool, which is up the second from the top here, this rectangular marquee tool, or M if you prefer to use the hotkeys. I'm going to click that, and I'm actually going to sort of extend this black at the bottom of the city here. So I'm going to make that marquee tool around there. I'm going to grab my paint bucket tool. Right here, I'm going to hold Alt to select the black color there, and then I am going to, actually, let's make a new layer to do this. I'm going to go Control-Shift-In to make a new layer, and I'm not going to name it because I am going to end up merging it. And I'm just going to paint bucket that in there. Boom. And then we have like kind of an extended piece there. And then I'm going to hold Shift and select the black and white city there with my layer, and I'm going to say Control E, and that is going to merge it all into one layer. And I'm going to double click this and rename this back, so I know that that is what is in the back. And I'm even going to turn this down on a lower opacity just slightly, just like that. So it's a little faded in the back there, okay? Quite the noisy red, yes. All right. So now I'm going to drag in our robot from yesterday. Let's drag him over here. Boom. Super cool robot. So I'm going to put him down here like so. And I think to add a little bit to the scene here, I'm even going to come in between the robot and the back layer here. I'm going to make a new layer again with Control-Shift-In, and I'm going to call this Gradient, if I can spell gradient, Gradient 1. And I'm going to grab my gradient tool, which if you don't see your gradient tool, it's probably because your paint bucket tool is hiding it. If you do a long press on your paint bucket tool, it will open up your little panel here and you can select the gradient tool just like that. And I'm going to make sure that I have a pretty red color selected. I'm going to select just like that. But I'm also going to come over to my color panel here and I'm going to brighten it up just slightly. And I'm going to do a gradient behind him just to kind of separate him from the rest of the background. And notice up here at the very top, I've got my second gradient here selected. So this basically fades the foreground color I have selected into transparent. If you do the gradient tool and you're wondering why whatever's in the back is not visible to you, it's probably because you have the first selection on, which fades your foreground color into your background color. So make sure that this foreground to transparent is selected when you do that. All right, so now we've got a city behind our robot. We've got a bit of gradient to add a little bit of atmosphere. And I even think that I'm going to select my noisy texture here, do Control U again, and even brighten up this red just a little bit like that. All right. Now to add some more to my scene, I'm actually going to grab my city again, and I'm going to throw that in here, and it's actually behind. I'm going to drag this up above everything here. I'm going to grab my city again, and I'm going to hold Alt, and I'm going to resize this, and I'm going to put this right down in here. That looks pretty cool, I think. Boom. And then I'm going to hit Enter. And I'm even gonna position this robot just slightly to the side here. Maybe tilt him a little bit so he's like, ah, I'm walking around in a city. I'm giant. That's how he talks. That's what robots sound like in my poster. And I'm going to hit enter to place him, and then I'm going to come up here between the robot and the new cityscape that I just dropped in, and I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm not going to name it because I'm going to end up merging it with another layer. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make this solid. Normally, if I wanted to select a thing, I would hit control, and then I would select the image of the layer. But since this, like, because of the nature of this image, everything is very open. If I select things that way, it kind of selects in between all of the gaps between the black regions, which is not what I want. So I'm actually going to select this using not the lasso like we used yesterday, but the polygonal lasso tool. And this is how I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. I'm even going to hide this robot for now so that I have a clear view of what I'm working with here. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to hit the polygonal lasso tool. If you don't see the polygonal lasso tool, all you have to do is long press on the lasso tool and it will open up this panel here. And then you can select it. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select the shape of all of these buildings real quick. If I had a little bit more time, I might do this very, very cleanly and get super obsessed with how close to the edges of the buildings I was getting. But since we don't have all of the time in the world today, I'm going to do it just as quickly and efficiently as I can. And I'm going to select all these spaces here. Boop, boop, boop. Which is very easy. And you might have a different method of selecting something like this. You might have a different kind of technique that you'd like to try, which is totally fine. You guys can do it the way you want to do it. As always, these challenges are just guidelines so that you can kind of figure out how to do some new stuff and elaborate on them yourself, you know, express yourself the way that you want to. But I like the polygonal lasso tool a lot. So I'm going to use it. And there is my city. I'm going to quickly close this off like so. And then I'm going to come over to my paint bucket tool, long press on the gradient tool to select it from the menu. I'm going to hold Alt and select this red color, and I'm going to paint bucket that in just like that. I already have my layer selected, so I'm going to hold Shift to also select the second city layer, and I'm going to do Control E and merge them together. So now when I unhide my robot, he's back there behind the city instead of being able to see him through it, which is super cool. So I'm going to hit Control D, which is deselect. And then we have him walking around in the city. That's my what is that, like 80s, 70s, 80s announcer voice that talks about, like, it came from the sky, all that stuff. That's what's running through my head as I'm creating this today. Can't participate in the challenges, always at work, but really enjoy listening along. Well, you can always watch the replays, Marissa, and I appreciate you being here anyways. It's good to have you. Why not pen tool? Yeah, you could use the pen tool if you prefer, Kushal. Go for it. All right, so we've got that down. Now I am going to duplicate my gradient layer here. I'm going to go select it and go Control J for duplicate, and I'm going to drag that up here. Above everything, I'm going to hit Control T to transform, and I'm going to bump it down just slightly because I just want to add a little bit of atmosphere to the front here, but not too much. So I'm going to hit Enter, and then I'm actually going to double click my final robot layer because I'd like to add kind of a noisy glow to him. So if I double click the layer, it will open my layer style panel. I'm going to bump this over here so you guys can see what I do. And I'm going to come down here to outer glow, and it's already set to red. And I've got like noise on. You guys might not actually use this noise texture on these a lot. I have recently been using them, and I absolutely love the noise feature on here. I've been going totally crazy with noise textures in the last couple of weeks. So if you don't want to use noise, that's totally cool, but I'm going to use too much noise. So I'm going to put like a glow. You can kind of see if I zoom in here, it's got kind of a noisy glow around him that just separates him a little bit more from the scene, and adds that texture in it so it kind of matches. And I like the way that that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. So now we've got our robot walking through the city, just like that, which is super cool. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some text, because the poster needs text, right? So I'm going to quickly grab everything in my scene here by selecting the topmost layer and then grabbing the bottom layer above my background, my background. With shift there, and I'm going to hit Control G, and that's going to group everything. And then I'm going to double click that layer, and I'm going to name this project, just so I know that's where my whole project is. That's where all this good stuff resides. And then I'm going to add a text layer, so I'm going to hit T to pull up my text tool, or you can select it right over here from your bar, and I'm going to hit right there. It drops in the lorem ipsum phrase right when I click it, but I'm going to turn this to white real quick. You can change your text color right up here if you'd like to. And I rather like this. This is a font called The Macabre, which I think is super great and perfect for this kind of poster. And I'm going to write robots. And then I'm going to click out of the editing. I'm going to say Control T to make it a little bit larger. And I'm going to place it up here, and then we're going to warp this text. We're going to do that by coming up to this little button up here. It's like a T with a little curvature underneath it. We're going to click that. We're going to say arc. I'm going to arc this. I'm going to turn the bend off because I don't really like that bend. And then I'm going to do a bit of horizontal distortion here on our little robots thing, just because I like it. And you can kind of mess with this however you like. Normally I would spend a little more time figuring out exactly how I want to place this text, maybe make things a little fancier. But for now, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna hit Control T, and I'm gonna kind of rotate this just a little bit, put that robots right there. So before it said robots, but now with the warp it says robots. That's the vibe that you want to go for. It needs to sound like that in your head when you read it. That's how you know that you've hit the mark. So we're gonna hit robots, and then we're gonna add another little text thing here, and we're gonna say from Mars. Boom. And I'm actually going to, you could place this anywhere you want. You could place it down here. Oh, from Mars. I can spell Mars. I know how to spell Mars. You could place it down here if you want, or you could place it next to robots if you want. You could just kind of backspace here. You can come into your characters, your character page here, and kind of mess with how close you want things to be, and edit the text in here if you want. You can edit the spacing and stuff however you prefer. I might just put from Mars up here in the corner, and then maybe return to it if I want to add some more details later. But that's our poster, and if you want to go the extra mile just to give it that bit of pizzazz and make it look more like those classic sci-fi posters, what I am going to do here is I'm going to group this again just for the sake of being able to grab all of this at once. And I'm going to unlock my background, and I'm going to hit Control U for hue and saturation again, and I'm going to make the background black. And then I'm going to grab my group here, and I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to merge it by hitting Control E. So now I have just one single image. I'm going to hide the group. I'm going to do Control A. So I'm just selecting the edges of my canvas here on our image. I'm going to say Control T to transform that. And then I'm just going to bump it in to give it like a border. And I know that that's not a huge big deal, but like Doesn't that look more like a poster, just having that little border, just bumping it in just like that? But I think that looks pretty cool. So that is my poster. I'm gonna hit Control S to save, and I'm gonna save this as robots, and I'm gonna upload this to my Behance right quick. So I'm gonna hit OK. And also, for those of you who chose the illustration from yesterday to make your poster, I actually made a poster with that just to show you, so that you guys wouldn't feel left out and be able to see kind of how I did that. This is the dark side poster, like a little propaganda Star Wars poster I made. Victory is imminent. Join the dark side. Embrace the Empire. And I suppose you guys could have Jedi stuff on it if you want, but dark side's the best side. So there's our dark side poster, and I'm gonna come over here to Behance now. Let me open this up. I'm gonna hit my profile. I'm gonna come into my Photoshop DCC, hover over it there, hit edit, and I'm gonna scroll down to my challenge 3, and I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna upload a few different files here. Let me scroll through and find my image. Let's find robots and classic sci-fi. Boom. And they're gonna load. And while they're loading up here into my my project, I'm also going to pull up my Discord. I'm gonna do my little wiggly voodoo magic and bump myself over here so you guys can see me click this little button. And in the design feedback, I am also going to grab my my posters, and I'm going to post them for you guys so that you guys can see the posters I have created. Boom, there we go. So that, folks, is how you can go about creating a cool classic sci-fi or propaganda type poster with the assets that we created in the last couple days. I hope that you guys enjoyed this challenge. I had a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed the sound effects, because I'm not gonna lie, I may or may not have practiced that robot's voice. I might have practiced that before I sat down to stream, because I knew that I definitely wanted to say something weird in that voice for you guys. Yes. Oh man, but yes, this is very, very fun. I'm laughing at how excited Val got. Thanks, Jordan. I'm hoping that you guys are as excited about it as I am. I can't wait to see what you guys create. It's going to be super awesome, I'm sure. Again, you guys can always post in here if you get stumped. If you maybe didn't follow along as easily as you would have hoped, I can always answer your questions, and there's other awesome mentors right up there listed, like Kathleen and Tim, who can also help you if you need help. But yeah, we've already got actually a lot of folks that submitted some stuff, and I know that they're just gonna kind of like start pouring in from here. So even if you don't have time to complete the challenge, you can also just join the Discord by going to the Behance challenge page and getting that link if you want to, just to come in and take a closer look at what everybody's working on, and then maybe visit the challenges later. But yeah, should be super fun. Did it in 20 minutes, and it takes me 3 hours to do the same. Don't worry, Rom, because I've done this several times to prepare for doing it quickly, so don't feel bad. Everyone has their own process. That's totally cool. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Here's the Discord link, just in case you guys want to jump in. Real quick, we'll take a look at the schedule. I am Voodoo Val, and I did the Daily Creative Challenge this morning, obviously. Sam Peterson's coming up with some drawing and painting. Then Melody's going to be doing the XD Daily Creative Challenge right after him. And then we have UX Design with John Sorrentino right after that. Super excited for everything to come for the rest of the day. It's been a blast designing for you guys, and I will see you tomorrow morning with another awesome, super cool challenge. Should be awesome. All right, guys, I'll see you later.